I had jury duty this morning. The last time that I had jury duty in August. Hey, honestly, it's kind of funny to think about where the channel was at that point versus like where it is right now. Thank you guys, everybody who's been along since August, the last time that I had jury duty. That was during about like the time that like Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gahn got announced. Yeah, they had also just announced Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen, and also Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev too. I was at jury duty today, bro. I finally beat the jury duty. Like, I don't have it anymore until I get another summon. So thank God for that. The only thing that's really been getting me through lately is Alex Pereira's champion. But man, the reason why I'm bringing up jury duty, because there's like an overlap. It's always on the days whenever Dana White has announcements planned, and it's just like completely out of the blue. We get like big fight announcements. I have something to do like jury duty that takes up a majority of the day, so I have to be late and I can't give live coverage of it. You guys have probably seen videos talking about all the different announcements that have come out of today as far as UFC 323. Michael Aswell leaked the main event, or the co-main event, Pantoja versus Joshua Van, after he won his last fight in Brazil. That was just last Saturday, so it makes sense why Dana White was hurrying to get that news out after it was unofficially announced by one of the fighters on the roster. I made a promise, though, that I was going to do my predictions on Mondays from here on out, so I mean, I made sure to have this ready at least. I didn't have enough time to record it before I left this morning for the reporting time, but I mean, I'm gonna bang this hoe out right now. And then I guess that'll be the Wednesday upload, since tomorrow we have the Contender Series. I'm going to be talking about UFC 323 at some point within like the next 2 days. So keep an eye out for that upload. We have UFC Fight Night Canada, De Ridder versus Allen, happening on Saturday, October 18th at Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canada. This is a UFC Vancouver Fight Night. We are in Canada. Did I mention that Alex Pereira is champion of the 205 division? How lit is that, man? Like, I told you guys that I'm not like the biggest Oliveira fan. I love me some Alex Pereira, bro. I love me some Alexandre Pantoja too. So I'm gonna be very excited to break down that event too, because I mean dare I say that's a better event than UFC 321, and a better. I mean, obviously it's gonna be better than the Qatar Fight Night, but the Qatar Fight Night is competitive, man. Like, they got some good fights on that. This is my favorite fight. Like, that they've announced for the rest of the year. UFC 323 is gonna be an absolute banger, a true hoot and a holler. So yeah, this is about the most Canadian thing that I can think of. This guy, who remembers the Bayesian Canadian, bro? I was definitely watching some Sky Does Minecraft back in the day. And then he became like net nobody, and then he rap beef with KSI, all this weird stuff, bro. Let's just talk about these prelims, man. This is honestly a cursed photo. Let's not even pay any mind to this. Moving right along. So this is going to be like 3 for 3 on introducing debuting women's bantamweight in different like international cards. We had Noche with Elise Pereira, and then we had Michelle Montague, and then we had Beatriz Mesquita. I guess this is like 4 for 4, even though one of them was unsuccessful, Elise Pereira. She wasn't Mexican though. She fought a Mexican and lost to one on the Noche card. So what I'm trying to say is that that's how this goes, is that if you are a women's bantamweight fighter who's debuting on an international card and you're from the country that they're visiting, you are going to win. Melissa Croden versus Tainara Lisboa is going to be happening as the opener of this event. I am going to predict that Croden is going to win this fight. Tainara Lisboa is bad. She got manhandled by Luana Santos in her last fight, and she's supposed to be like this grappling wizard. She has a lot of submissions, I guess, whenever she's not just winning decisions over these girls, Lisboa. But in her last fight against Luana Santos ripped an Americana on her, which is like a strongman technique. She got tapped with an Americana. In lighter weight classes, it's pretty much unheard of. Especially in women's weight classes, too. Getting subbed with an Americana, that's rare, man. So Tainara Lisboa, who gave her a black belt? I'm not going to say that she doesn't have any grappling, but Melissa Croden is another really physical lady. From the footage that I did see, she had a crazy walk down over this girl who looked like a soccer mom, and she just threw a bunch of knees in the tie clinch and then TKO'd her. And this was like super easy for her to accomplish. Melissa Croden is kind of a dog, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I can see this fight going like pretty similarly. Melissa Croden coming out and just mogging Tainara Lisboa, beating her up on the feet, getting her to shell, and then the fight getting finished. Those 2 losses on Melissa Croden's record, both of them are by decision. So it's not like if she is getting grappled, she has like a weakness to being subbed or doesn't have good sub defense. I can't go as far as to say that. Tainara Lisboa looks like a worse fighter than Melissa Croden. I mean, by and large. But everyone looks good outside of the UFC, man. I'm just going to go with my first intuition, which is that if you are a women's fighter who's debuting on an international card and you're from the country that the UFC is visiting, you are going to win. That is a good luck charm. We're 3 for 3. So I'm going to pick Melissa Croden to win. Be a round 2 KO here. Round 2 TKO. And we're going to move right on. All right, next we have Azamat Bekoev versus Yousri Belgaroui. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think this is going to be held at middleweight. I'm not going to be the guy picking against Azamat Bekoev anymore. I picked Zachary Reese to beat Azamat Bekoev. I was like, you know what? This guy had what's the dude's name? Dylan Budka. I was like, Azamat Bekoev, once upon a time, I think he came from LFA. He was a champion there. He won the belt off of Dylan Budka. Yeah, so I'm like, dude, this guy can't be that good, right? Like, if you are a decent grappler, you're gonna get this one. Like, you're gonna get it done easily. There was a lot of clinching that was going on in this title fight that Azamat Bekoev was in, and he was getting, like, kind of tossed around in there. He's gotten a lot better since these days of being in the LFA. He absolutely blew through Zachary Reese. I was like, okay, that's just a one-off. Zachary Reese was trying to play guard. He got smashed. That happens, right? But Ryan Loder for sure got him. And no, Ryan Loder also got pieced up by Azamat Bekoev. I'm not going to be the guy who's picking against Azamat Bekoev. I don't care that Yousri Belgaroui is out here sparring with Pereira, and he's like the main man in all the training clips that you see of Alex Pereira inside of the gym at Tainara MMA. I don't care about that. Because Belgaroui is also the same guy who was getting thumped on by Marco Tulio in his first outing at the Dana White's Contender Series. He ended up getting a contract, and he beat like this 9-1 at the time Japanese dude who was pretty good, and he knocked him out too. So I mean, there's also that to be factored. He had never been KO'd before, this Japanese guy that he fought. It's just that Azamat Bekoev is so tough, and he's been calling out like Joe Pyfer and stuff. And this fight, he's one of those opponents where it's like kind of sneaky, right? Like, this might be the dude who beats Atiba Gauthier. Azamat Bekoev might be the guy who derails that entire hype train, because he's just as scary. Nobody wants to fight Azamat Bekoev. This guy, his first fight with Torres Finney fell through, and then Yousri had visa issues, and then they had to reschedule to this event. I'm not sure whenever they were last supposed to fight, but we haven't seen Azamat Bekoev inside of the UFC octagon in some time because nobody wants to smoke with him. I am not going to pick against this guy and look stupid again. Yousri Belgaroui has a very extensive background in kickboxing, but that grappling, it's going to be checked. And I think that Azamat Bekoev is going to freeze out this guy in the clinch, muscle him there, and then he's going to knock him out. Yousri Belgaroui is 1-2 with Alex Pereira and 0-2 against Adesanya. So, I mean, he's fought the best of the best in that sport, but he doesn't have winning records against any of those dudes. So, I'm not really sure how highly to tout his past in kickboxing and his experience in that sport, transferring into MMA. Give me Azamat Bekoev by another round 1 KO. Like a sleepy one where we had a Golden Freddy suit KO. Like, that's all I'm in it for. Give me the Golden Freddy suit. I haven't seen it in a while. I want to see somebody get put inside that mug. Next, we have Stephanie Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira. Ravena Oliveira hasn't fought since 2023. She was last defeated by Tainara Lisboa, and I think that Tainara Lisboa is going to give us such an underwhelming performance in the opener that we're going to be like, okay, so how did this woman lose to her? How did Tainara Lisboa beat anybody in the UFC octagon? I may stand corrected, but I'm thinking that this is going to be a Luciano W here. Luciano, who may or may not have a lazy eye, I don't really know. I've seen a bunch of PNGs of her. It doesn't really look like she's looking directly at me in both eyes, but I digress. She's last lost to Sam Hughes. There are worse women fighters to have lost to in the UFC than Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes, we saw in Paris against Shauna Bannon. Sam Hughes is actually kind of cold, and she can finish fights. This is just going to come down to me thinking that Sam Hughes is a more excusable loss than Tainara Lisboa, and that's it. I'm not reading any further into this. Ravena Oliveira is also cutting down from 135 to 115, so it's like, give me Luciano via stinky decision. Hopefully she gets a sub and we can just get past this, because I'm not trying to watch WMMA this weekend. I'm not in the mood. If I can't reliably depend on Drew Dober to get first-round knockouts over Kyle Prepolec level opponents in 2025, my heart is gone. Throw my heart in the river. Prepolec is not Manuel Torres. He's not Gian Silva. He's not Matt Frevola in terms of power. He doesn't have anywhere close to the grappling abilities of Renato Moicano. He has no path to victory over Drew Dober other than just divine intervention. It would literally be Kyle Prepolec via divine intervention if he wins. Dober needs an epic W after all the losses he's been taking. I think he's like 1-3 in his last 4. And Kyle Prepolec, he's always given me human cattle vibes. He's a meat pinata, for lack of a better term. And I think that Dober is going to knock him out in round 1. All right, Danny Barlow versus Jourdain Santos at middleweight. Jourdain Santos lost to Ozzy Diaz in broad daylight. And Danny Barlow lost to Sam Patterson in broad daylight. And to be fair, Sam Patterson, that's not the worst loss. And Danny Barlow is a pretty big welterweight whenever he was a welterweight. And since this is going to be contested at middleweight, that extra weight that he is able to retain through the process of cutting, that's going to make it so he's able to, take a bit more damage. He's not going to be hitting as hard, though, because he was never really crazy jacked as a welterweight. Unless he put on a bunch of mass, because it has been a while since we last saw him fight. I don't think that he's going to be hitting any harder at 185. It's really just so that he's not stretching himself too thin due to the weight cut of welterweight. Danny Barlow, I'm expecting to still win this fight. I'm expecting him to still win via KO in this fight. Just because Jourdain Santos, whenever he was meant to put his nose to the grindstone and actually get in there and fight with Ozzy Diaz, he was just emoting on him and getting tagged. And he was getting hit with some really big shots. Anyone with a little bit more power would have actually elicited like a chicken-legged reaction out of him with. Because Jourdain Santos, he was standing there he was getting touched, man. I'm not going to lie. That was a pretty closely contested fight, though. I think that through the entire fight, Ozzy Diaz was pinging him. I think that it wasn't very close, to be honest. The only thing that was creating the illusion that Jourdain Santos was doing better than Ozzy Diaz in that fight was because he was just, crowd hyping. He was holding down on his D-pad, and he was moving the right stick to different parts of, the emote wheel, and he was pressing the A button. And that made it look like he was winning in moments of the fight where he really wasn't. And whenever he went first in that fight, it didn't really look like he hit that hard anyways. So, Danny Barlow is the prolific knockout artist of welterweight who was knocked out in his last fight. I'm hoping at the very least he can get it back on track against a guy of this caliber. And it won't be a part 2 of the Sam Patterson fight. And then we have to gas up another guy at 185 Jourdain Dos Santos. Oh, this dude is going to be something, even though he lost to Ozzy Diaz. Did you see his last fight against Danny Barlow? No, bro, no. Danny Barlow is going to... We have to be able to count on this guy to win a fight like this, man. This is not going to be one of those fights where I'm going to act like I know something that other people don't by picking an underdog. 'Cause I'm sure that Jourdain Santos is going to be a dude who is not the betting favorite here. I'm going to pick Danny Barlow to win via round 2 KO. Hopefully round 1 KO. I'm not trying to see this dude go out sad again. Because truth be told, I like Danny Barlow. Speaking of another fighter that I like, Bruno Silva versus Hyun Sung Park, man. So Hyun Sung Park, he made me look like an absolute goobus in his last fight against Tatsuro Taira. And that's in part my fault. Tatsuro Taira is a fighter who I completely discounted the abilities of because he lost to Brandon Royval, which is not even a bad loss to have in the flyweight division. A bunch of people lose to Brandon Royval. I thought that Joshua Van was going to lose to Brandon Royval, and he didn't do that. And he still put on a really good fight. So many people lose to Brandon Royval, man. So that's not really an indicator that you're bad at fighting, especially if the fight was close or if you make it to the end of a decision. You're actually better than most fighters. That guy, you beat him, you get a title shot. And that's always been the case with Brandon Royval, dude. I don't know what I was thinking. I was geeked up, bro, is basically what I'm trying to say. Thinking that Hyun Sung Park was about to take his wins over Carlos Hernandez and Shannon Ross into a fight with Tatsuro Taira and then cold him in the first round. I was geeked up, for sure. Illegal substance. In this fight, though, Bruno Silva, let's think about it. He's lost to Josh Van and Manel Cap, most recently back-to-back losses. This man has literally been beaten by the best strikers in the division. And he's going to fight Hyun Sung Park, who has his most recent wins over Shannon Ross and Carlos Hernandez. Hyun Sung Park has showed me really good skills in those fights, but it's an entirely different caliber of opponent. Bruno Silva had been on a 4-fight win streak before he fought with Manel Cap, I think it was, before he fought Joshua Van. And that included a finish over Cody Djorden. And that's a good indicator that you're a good striker in this weight class. If you can outstrike and knock out Cody Djorden, that means you're good at fighting. So this is what we're looking at, right? Park was about to get a fight with Urseg before he stepped out to fight Tatsuro Taira. This fight with Urseg, this fight with Silva, this fight with Taira, these jumps up in comp, they're not good for Hyun Sung Park because he's still in the early stages of becoming a contender. He needs to be fighting a couple of rungs below the talent at which he's being match made with right now. I think that Bruno Silva is just a better fighter than Hyun Park is, despite what we may have been seeing in his latest performances. And he has the grappling. Maybe not on the same level as Tainara, because Tainara is like another world of jiu-jitsu and wrestling. But Bruno Silva does have a myriad of submissions on his record as well. And I think that the way that Tatsuro Taira was able to get the fight to the ground and sub Hyun Park, that was a little bit too easy. For me, in my liking, that was a little bit too easy. I'm not going to lie. So I think that the submission threat from Bruno Silva and the wrestling threat, the grappling threat in general, is just going to be uber present in this fight. He's going to stop my boy Hyun Park via round 1 in a submission. He'll probably tune him up on the feet a little bit more beforehand. It's not the best record on Bruno Silva, but I mean, he's been fighting dogs on dogs. So, I mean, what can you really do? And he has seniority in the UFC as well. He's been fighting this promotion for a very long time. Park is just, he's a fresh spawn in the DayZ server. Bruno Silva's totally got this. He's going to win via round 1 sub. Regrettably, I say this with a heavy heart because I do like Hyun Park. But I mean, this isn't his fight to win. Next, we have Charles Jourdain versus David Grant. I'm just copy and pasting these names off of Tapology. We all call him Davy Grant, and that's what he prefers to be called. But on Tapology, his official name is David Grant. So that is what was copy and pasted here. I just didn't catch it before I pressed record, so I'm not going to edit it now. David Grant is what we're going with. I think he wins this fight too. And you may call me crazy for that, because Charles Jourdain, he's definitely been fighting a harder level of opponents. And I mean, he's been doing okay for the type of talent that he's been getting match made with. Up a weight class too, but I don't think this is a very easy fight to get if you are debuting at bantamweight. He's going to be very drawn out, Charles Jourdain. Granted, I mean, he's 5'9", which is only 1 inch taller than Davy Grant. Davy Grant is so accustomed to making this weight class, it's no problem for him. And his skill set has just been so tried and true already. Charles Jourdain, he's just been looking shaky lately, and that's the reason why he's making this change from being a featherweight to a bantamweight. I think that depending on what your skill set is going to constitute this going well for you. Bryce Mitchell could do it because he's a grappler, and through wrestling, you can be successful at 135 because for some reason, these guys, by and large, aren't the greatest wrestlers. I think that a portion of Umar and Merab's success at 135 is down to the fact that, on average, bantamweights aren't the best grapplers. There's a certain select few of grapplers at bantamweight. These fighters who are known for their good wrestling capabilities, and they just win fights because they can grapple. And whenever they are match made with other opponents, they're able to just grapple them. And there's levels amongst all these people as well, but I would say that those are like the most prolific fighters that are known for grappling at 135. Then you have guys like Peter Yan even, in a fight against Marcus McGee, he can wrestle that guy, no problem. Davy Grant, in certain fights against dudes like Damone Blackshear, who only has wrestling, he can mix varied tactics into his approach towards taking that fight and end up in top positions and actually control Damone Blackshear, even though he's massive for 135 and also a grappler himself. Davison Figueiredo, that's another wrestler, a guy who's able to just smother people on the ground. I think it's going to happen to Charles Jourdain. I'm not sure if there's anything that he can do about it. And in the stand-up, he could always knock out Davy Grant, which would be nuts, but I don't think so, man. I think it's an entirely different speed and tempo, too. The difference between 135 and 145 is massive. It's not as transferable as 145 to 155. 135ers are fast, man, and they're so technical. Davy Grant's damn near 40 years old. He's going to be 10 years older than Charles Jourdain, and I still just think that Jourdain is a step behind. And I may eat these words. I probably will. Because, I mean, the Beowulf curse, man. You already know what we're doing at this point. I say something that's going to happen, that shit is for sure going left. But I think that Davy Grant's going to win this one. I think it's going to win via decision, too. It may be split. It may be a close fight. But I think that in a scrap where they're both going for it, Davy Grant's going to be trickier than Charles Jourdain. He's going to be slicker on the feet. He's going to be able to scramble better on the ground, get to dominant positions down there. I think he's just better than Charles Jourdain on both sides of the ball, and that's what's going to get him to a win in this fight. So yeah, let me get a Davy Grant decision here. Next we have Kyle Nelson versus Matt Frevola at lightweight. This is going to be an interesting fight because Kyle Nelson is going to be coming up from featherweight to fight at lightweight against Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola has been getting chinned lately, and Kyle Nelson most recently got chinned by Steve Garcia, who's another very large featherweight. He'd been successful before then as well. I'm not sure if I even picked Kyle Nelson to win his last fight against Steve Garcia. I probably didn't because I love Steve Garcia, but I think that he might beat Matt Frevola by knockout. I think that he might knock him out in round 1. Because, I mean, dude, look at the people who Matt Frevola has lost to ever since beating Drew Dober. Benoit Saint-Denis and also Fiorot Ziem. These were bloodbaths. And we know that he has a high potential for being finished earlier on in a fight because he has the record in lightweight for the fastest finish. And he was the one finished against Terrence McKinney. Kyle Nelson, you see that he's a dude who historically has had problems with fighting taller guys like Steve Garcia or like Jai Herbert or Billy Q, guys who can match his physicality. He has no problem keeping his range against dudes with builds like Matt Frevola. He's power punchers like Matt Frevola who he can keep at range and he can probably outmuscle in the clinch. Being that he is coming up a weight class too, I think that 10 extra pounds is going to matter a lot for him strength-wise. He's going to be able to have his way with Matt Frevola in the clinch. On the cage is going to be manhandling this dude, and there's nothing that Matt Frevola is going to be able to do about it. It seems like Frevola has really just captured lightning in a bottle one time against Drew Dober, and hasn't been able to rekindle a performance like that ever since it did happen. I believed in the steamroller a lot, and I'm sure that most people think that this is a very winnable fight for Matt Frevola to get his hype back on track, and it's a very winnable fight for both fighters in all reality. I think that Kyle Nelson lost a little bit less momentum in his last defeat at featherweight, and it just really makes more sense for him to be a lightweight than a 145er, and I think this is going to bode well for him too. I can just see Matt Frevola getting knocked out here. It's kind of just like something that I'm conditioned to viewing at this point. But overall, it's a pretty winnable fight for both. I wouldn't say 50-50. I would lean Kyle Nelson. That's why I'm going to pick him. But I think it's going to be like a duel. They're going to have a shootout at the very beginning of this fight, and we're going to get a winner within like the first couple of minutes. I think it's going to be Kyle Nelson, be a round 1 KO, so let me get that. I was playing Left 4 Dead 2 on stream the other night, and I was thinking like, damn. I mean, I know I have a mod installed where like my charger is like Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's. But, like, Rainer the Ritter kind of looks like a Left 4 Dead 2 Charger, in my opinion. Like, he's kind of built just like that mob. Am I geeked up right now? Like, I mean, obviously there's, like, the big arm and stuff, but in the midsection, like, their trunks look the exact same. Rainer the Ritter has the craziest build in the UFC. I low-key want to make that video, craziest builds in the UFC. Rainer the Ritter built like a Wadadong Gala. Next, we have Cody Gibson versus Aoriqileng at bantamweight. This is a fight where, like, somebody getting cut. Somebody's getting cut, man. These dudes have only been beating guys who are not even in the UFC anymore. And they've just been losing to other people who... I mean, they had varied success after getting wins over Aoriqileng and Cody Gibson. Raul Rosas was the last two to beat Aoriqileng. Cody Gibson was most recently subbed by Damone Blackshear. So it's like... I'm not even sure what to do with this level of talent in the UFC other than just feed them to other guys. But, I mean, Cody Gibson's getting up there in age, dude. And Aoriqileng, they call him the Mongolian murderer, and he's never murdered anyone. So, I mean, like, what do you even do with him? This fight is going to prove, though, that MMA matchmaking PEMDAS is a real thing. And whenever you put a negative and a negative together, you get a positive fight out of it. So I'm thinking that this fight likely does end in a stoppage. I'm going to take the road less traveled by, though, or just the outcome that makes sense in predictions, and just say that whoever wins this fight wins via decision. I'm going to pick Cody Gibson to win via decision. Cody Gibson has less embarrassing losses by and large, and he's even made it to a decision where he did lose against Miles Johns, which, I mean, that's a difficult thing to do. You got to have some type of skill set on you to not get knocked out by a dude like that, because he is pretty powerful. We saw in the fight that he had with John Matsumoto that he almost even finished that guy a couple of times. It looked scary at certain moments. Cody Gibson was able to make it to the cards. Aoriqileng's last defeat to Raul Rosas Jr. was just super underwhelming to me. I didn't like what I saw out of him. I always geek out on Cody Gibson being like an educator. This guy is like a for real teacher. And like he's always talking about his students, wishing him good luck going into fight weeks. And John Anik's always talking about, yeah, and he teaches at something. He's like a middle school teacher, and his kiddos are wishing him good luck through fight week. It's like... It makes me laugh. I think it's funny. This is a testament to the educators needing increased wages. Like, this guy needs to be paid more and compensated better for teaching people. And on his wrist there, is that a tattoo of him proposing to his wife on, like, a sunset beach? I'm getting distracted. Whatever, dude. Is that also, like, a carrot on Aoriqileng's chest there? Nah, I'm tweaking. I think that Cody Gibson's going to employ a wrestling game plan. He's going to out-grapple Aoriqileng similarly to how Raul Rosas was able to do it. And he's going to beat him that way. He's going to do it to decision. And he's going to keep his spot on the roster. And one of these guys is going to get sin packing. That's my predictions. My shiny crystal ball is right here. And I think that I'm going to be correct about that one. So let's move on. Manon Fiorot versus Jasmine Jasudavicius at women's flyweight. Okay, so look, man. I think that round 1 submission for Jasudavicius is kind of like ambitious. I'm going to go with it anyways just because it would be a statement. And I believe in JJ a lot. And Manon Fiorot is just kind of bad. I'm not going to lie. She's very physical. And that's like her only advantage over the women that she fights. That's all she can really do, right? Is just be physical and pin these women into the cage. That's how she beat Rose at least. She just smudged her into the cage in the clinch. On the ground. I mean, she's not even like taking fights to the ground. She's just pinning these women to the cage, dude. And like, in the striking, she's not good. And that's all she can really do is just hold people on the cage. Manon Fiorot is boring, and she's not technical at all. Jasmine Jasudavicius is physical and technical, and that's the reason why I think that she's going to be able to do something crazy here. Make a huge statement in Canada. Beat Manon Fiorot, who just recently fought Valentina Shevchenko, trying to take a crack at that belt. I think that Jasmine Jasudavicius, no matter who wins in the fight against Wei Li and Valentina, I think that JJ is going to take the belt off of whoever the victor is. Girl's like 5'7", perfect dimensions for flyweight, I believe at least. Super good knowledge of positions on the ground. Improving striking. I think Jasmine can do it. I think she's good. I think she's like really good. She's really good at wrestling, Jasmine is. She's able to get fights to the ground. She 10-7 Priscilla Cachoeira not too long ago. She oppressed Jessica Andrade, like, sent her back to strawweight. I think that was her last fight at flyweight, Jessica Andrade. She just got whooped by Jasmine Jasudavicius. That was even a first-round sub. I think that she's got this one in the bag against Manon Fiorot. It's going to be an easy fight. Super quick night at the office for her. She is going to win low difficulty. Give me that Jasudavicius round 1 sub. All right, Marlon Vera versus Aiemann Zahabi here. I was a Zahabi glazer before the Jose Aldo fight. And I mean, it's still very possible that he does win in Canada. You know, I mean, Zahabi, he's a fan favorite there. He's probably one of the best Canadian fighters that they do have on the roster. Comes from a very good stable. This guy has like GSP riding with him, dude. Trains at TriStar. Those guys have a really good camp there. His brother is Firas Zahabi. I am a huge fan of Firas Zahabi and his work and his coaching too. I think stylistically, Zahabi is just like... his striking defense really makes me nervous. I think he's a better grappler than Marlon Vera, and he could potentially out-grapple him the same way that Davison Figueiredo was able to. I think that I'm going to take Marlon Vera having one of those performances like he did against Rob Font, though. Against a guy who's just kind of standing there just waiting to get hit. Randomly, Marlon Vera will just have one of those performances where he just looks like one of the greatest to ever do it. Against Davy Grant, he did. And it took him like losing a round in order to get up in there and do something crazy. But I don't think that Zahabi is one of these dudes who just goes first like that. He's really good at baiting counters. I put him in this list that I had that was like Drickus style fighters. But I don't think that his style of fighting and how close it got against Jose Aldo. I mean, dude, he nearly got like KO'd cold in the finishing sequence of that fight that led him to get the takedown and control until the very end. Man, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. And he could very well get past this test, bro. Because, I mean, Marlon Vera, he's just pretty much all chin at this point in 2025. Because he hasn't had a performance like the one he had against Rob Font in a very long time. But, man, like, I don't see it with Zahabi, dude. I don't. Beating Jose Aldo is not that big of an accolade. There's other guys who have done it. It's not that big of a deal. There's a reason why the dude retired. He's old and like he has like 7 minutes worth of cardio. I think that a bunch of people could get that W. Jose Aldo gassed out so bad in that fight, and he was whooping him before then. Through round 1, he was whooping him. And then like right at the very end of the fight, whenever he was able to get through that last flurry, almost finished Zahabi. I think that I'm going to take Marlon Vera on the basis of pacing and also just better output. And he's going to diversify his strike arsenal in this fight. He's going to come out with the hook kicks and the side kicks again. And he's going to piece this man. And yes. And he's going to shave his head like mine. We're going to get a vintage Marlon Vera performance. No long, scruffy hair. Shaven head Marlon Vera. And it's going to be a W. It's going to be a display. We're going to get a good show here. I'm looking forward to it. I think that Marlon Vera is going to beat Aiemann Zahabi. Next, I think this is the co-main event here. Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. All right, so look, man. Mike Malott lost to Neil Magny, and I was like, okay, oh, fraud check. He got fraud checked. Nobody ever predict that Mike Malott wins another fight again. And I picked Charles Radke to beat him the last time that... I think they were even in Canada the last time. Wherever they were. I think that Mike Malott exclusively fights in Canada. They only schedule him to fight in Canada because this dude is like... He's the nation's pride. As far as MMA goes, Mike Malott is that guy in any province in Canada. Mike Malott is Himatron. Kevin Holland is not going to win this fight. And I know that I'm picking a Canadian to beat an American in the co-main event of this fight night, but it's like, dude, Kevin Holland is not winning this. Like, he's not. There's no path to victory for Kevin Holland over Mike Malott other than just landing a blessed right hand and then catching a Darce choke. And it could go like that, but Mike Malott has a better chance of hitting him with some big shit in the pocket and dropping him, dude. Because Kevin Holland's strike defense in his last fight, it looked so not good. And he nearly got finished in that third round. And he was in a really bad way against Daniel Rodriguez. And that's a type of fighter who I used to believe that Kevin Holland could reliably do up with no problem. He'd be able to subdue that guy with no issues. But it just seems like he's taken a step back, Kevin Holland. This isn't the same guy who knocked out... We're so far away from 2020 Holland is what I'm trying to say. Like, 2020 Holland was literally just a flash in the pan. And now whatever type of image that you have of Kevin Holland, whenever he isn't fighting, you're just reminiscing about that time. And it's easy to cling to him being that guy still whenever he's fighting these, like, washed vets. These guys who, like, are on their last legs. Mike Malott is on his way up, dude. And yeah, Kevin Holland is a year younger than Mike Malott, but dude, Mike Malott hasn't had the same type of experience, been in the same wars, taken the same amount of damage as Kevin Holland. This is a prospect, Mike Malott, even though he's lost to Neil Magny too. Kevin Holland loses to Neil Magny. I hope you guys know that. So I mean, dude, I think that all roads lead to a Mike Malott round 1 KO to get this fight going. And it hurts my feelings, but I can just see it. I can just see it. I can just see it. In my mind's eye, I can see it. Finally, we have Reinier de Ridder versus Brendan Allen. And man, I'm not going to spend too much time breaking this down because I don't think that it really needs the type of attention and care that, I otherwise would give to it. This is not a fight I'm interested in watching. I have this idea of how it goes. Reinier de Ridder looks really good in the fight. We're getting 5 rounds, so however it does end up going, if we get to have more of RDR's skills displayed in a grappling matchup, just so that we can juxtapose his abilities with Khamzat Chimaev's, that works for us, right? But I just don't think that it's going to go that way. I don't think that Brendan Allen is the right opponent for him to be able to display his grappling skills. Reinier de Ridder had the potential to be a perfect foil against Anthony Hernandez in the grappling if they were to have maintained their matchup going into this week, because Anthony Hernandez is like the overbearing top pressure guy. Reinier de Ridder is the slick bottom control dude who's able to create spacing and then attack submissions off of his back. Brendan Allen could try for the wrestling here, but very likely is it that Reinier de Ridder would be the one who's a better wrestler than Brendan Allen. I think that Brendan Allen is a worse MMA grappler in all facets of MMA grappling. So this should be a short night at the office. I think that this fight lasts under 10 minutes. I think that we get a round, maybe a round and some change of Reinier de Ridder rolling around on the floor with Brendan Allen, and then he subs him. And that's just going to be it. Brendan Allen, good on him for taking this matchup, but this is such a step down from Anthony Hernandez that I don't even feel like discussing it in depth is necessary, to be honest. I know there's going to be that one contrarian who's like, oh, well, you can't count out Brendan Allen because, no, dude, Fluffy literally beat this guy with broken ribs. What do you think that a healthy Reinier de Ridder is going to do to this man? Not very good things, I'm thinking. So, yeah, Reinier de Ridder via round 2 submission here. I'm more interested in this fight to see what that Reinier de Ridder striking is hitting for, because he seems to be getting better on the feet. He got winged by Robert Whittaker, and I think it was round 3 of that fight. Almost got flash KO'd. But dude, maybe he can hold it together a bit better here and then deliver a KO performance against Brendan Allen. That'd be wild, huh? I'd love to see that. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. A Reinier de Ridder round 2 submission. Hopefully, drops and subs Brendan Allen. Demonstrates, his skills as a martial artist, that he's getting better. he's going to need about like 3 times better of a showing than he had in Abu Dhabi against Britton Allen in order to be a guy that I consider to rival Khamzat Chimaev. Because as it is right now, nobody's taking that belt from Boris. So that's what I got, you guys. These are going to be my predictions here. Nothing else under me except for the Golden Freddy suit, because that's what I'm in it for. At the end of the day, I make my predictions. I want to have the positive pick rate. I mean, I haven't calculated like my totals for like the videos that I've been making lately. Just recently, we've been doing like a lot better, around like 60-70% on average, but I just want to see the Golden Freddy suit. I want to see these dudes get stuffed into that Golden Freddy suit. I want to see them pose like that. So do like, comment, and subscribe if you made it to this point in the video. I will catch you fellas in the next one. Dana White's Contender Series season finale tomorrow. We're going to be on stream for that. Join up. Do not miss out. I will catch you fellas. Be safe, my brothers.